welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Awthentik and The Beard. The best television show not on TV. You know what it is, man. We got a jam-packed schedule here on the schedule of games here, man. We got two major NFC East matchups that we're going to be going over here. The Dallas Cowboys are traveling to MetLife to take on the New York Giants. And the Washington football team is headed up to Philly to take on Jalen Hurts, possibly, and the Philadelphia Eagles. Also had Jaguars head coach Urban Meyer get fired last night in the middle of the night, man. Don't nobody want to get fired at 1 a.m. I thought that was crazy that the news broke at 1 a.m. Homie's probably like looking at his Twitter feed late at night, and it's like, yo, you're fired, my guy. Also, just saw this in the chat, actually. Shout out to Marjorie in the building one time. 125 players on the COVID list across the league. So, y'all know what it is. We got the Thursday night matchup as well between the Chargers and the Chiefs that we're going to be going over at the end of the show. But without further ado, let me bring in the best co-host in the country, my man, The Beard, looking real fresh. I already saw it backstage one time with the Sidney Dean White Men Can't Jump vibes. I'm definitely digging the hat, my dude. How's it going, man?
Man, I've been on the phone with my agent all day. I had my tryout with Washington yesterday. So just been waiting for the phone call, man, and seeing if I'm going to be heading up to Philly to, fill in for some of the players on the COVID list. I think we're up to 21 or 22 players right now.
What position are you going to be dressing at?
Well, it's kind of up in the air. I tried out for a little bit of DB, but I told them, I said, look, I'm not really meant to, play in the secondary, but I can play some special teams, you know what I'm saying, if they needed a long snapper. But, of course, you know what I'm saying, they split me out wide. Coach, I'm good, man.
We still got to put that long snap in theory to the test. We definitely got to get out there and do some authentic versus the Beard vibes, man. Welcome to everybody that's pulling up on the show, man. It was definitely a interesting week of Twitter action on my feed, man. It's been pretty fun on Twitter. Been chopping it up with a bunch of folks, man. Examining the Los Angeles Chargers offensive line transition from 2020 to 21. I got to do a lot of deep diving on them in talks with a bunch of people on Twitter, man. That was really interesting. They've done a great job of rebuilding that offensive line over there with 5 new players on the line, man, and not spending top dollar on a lot of them, man. Really some interesting acquisitions they did entering the 2021 season, man. It's definitely been wild, man. We got a lot of people hit with COVID across the league, a lot of New York Giants, a lot of Washington football teamers, as we like to call them over here, man. But let's say what's up to the chat one time, man, and then we could get into these two games. We limited on time here. We always say we're going to try to make that mark at 8:20 kickoff, and we usually don't get there. We're usually about a good 5-10 minutes late. But let's get to the chat one time, man, and we can get into this show.
Big shout out to First Person Taylor in the building. Good to see you,
my
sir.
My guy. What's going on? J-Mo, what's popping, brother?
Hey, David's in the building. Always, I know David's a super busy guy, so it's always great when I see him up in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by, brother. And then, of course, Marjorie Simmons always holding us down in the chat. Appreciate you.
Definitely.
Let's see who else
Appreciate
we got
the
here.
Nuggets.
E-Suds says, what up, fam? What's going on? Good to see you. And Lax 044 is
my
in
guy.
the building. Shout out to
What's
Lax.
up?
Good to see you, sir.
What up,
Who
fam?
else we got in the building? No Mets, no Nets, no Jets.
Yo, no Mets, no Nets, no Jets is like faithful. 7 o'clock in the building, man. We appreciate you being on time. We're going to try to do the same today for sure, fam.
Big shout outs. And then, got to show some love to the man. Luke is checking in from Australia with the now trademarked and patented AATB.
Love it.
Shout out.
What's poppin',
Nick the
Lucas?
Wick is in the building, says, let's go.
NTW in the building. What's up, fam?
Good to see you, sir. Hope you're doing well. Hope the shoulder is beginning to heal. And big shout out to Kareem Yee, says, what is good, fam?
What's poppin',
Good to see you,
Kareem? What's
sir.
good?
Appreciate you stopping by. CJ Talks Movies says, yer.
Hey, what's poppin', CJ? CJ got a good channel over there, too. Y'all make sure to check him out. He's got a sports channel and a movie channel, so make sure to check him out, man. Appreciate you pulling up in the building, fam.
Big shout out to Ash Money. If you guys didn't get to see Ash Money on with Authentic for the Giant overreaction on Monday, make sure you guys check that out, too. It was a great show. Big shout out to Ash Money in the building.
Big shout out to Ash Money. What's good, boy?
Big shout out to Carl. Says, what's up? What's going on, Carl? Good to see you, sir. And
good,
our
Carl.
faithful Dallas Cowboys representative, Monique, is in the building, says, let's go. And then we're down to 4 stars now?
We're down to 4 stars now. That's facts. It's going to be an interesting matchup with the Cowboys coming to take on my New York Giants, Monique. I kind of not really invested in this rivalry and this one so much, but we got some good nuggets. Stick around.
Yeah, should be interesting. Michael B is in the building. Says, yo, 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 let's go, G-Man.
Facts. A dub is a dub is a dub. Let's try to go get one.
Julissa is in the building as well. Thank you for stopping by, Julissa. Hope you're doing well. It's good to see you as always. And Sabrina is in the building. What is going on, Sabrina? Shout out to everybody who is watching us right now on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. We appreciate all the love and the support. Don't forget to hit those thumbs up. Man, tonight's going to be a good game.
Those some good shout-outs, man. I like that.
It was, right?
Yeah,
I did
the
a good
vibes
job?
was real nice on the shout-outs. I like that.
You know what's interesting? They have this new thing where there's like a star here. Have you seen that yet?
In the comment section?
That does. Yeah.
Oh, I do see the star.
It like pins it for you. So if you see something that
you need to get back to, that's handy. I like that.
Hey.
Shout out to StreamYard for always updating their platform. I like that. They got a couple more features I need them to knock out for me before I give them that 5-star review. But that's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah,
I like
you're
that.
getting that new Monique 4-star right now.
Yeah, I like that.
Hey.
Your intro was the 5th star. 5-star review on that intro. I like that. I like that.
We got another Cowboys fan. I think, we got to show some love to the Cowboys fans. Jay Soul is in the building. Says, let's
shout
go,
out Jay Soul one time, man.
Cowboys.
Jay Soul is one of the music homies. Definitely be chopping it up on Twitter a lot. He's a Cowboys fan as well, too. I wish I had his Twitter handle here. Make sure to put your Twitter handle in the chat, Jay Soul, man. Good to see you in the building, man. I think it's your first time I seen you on the YouTubes with us, man. Appreciate that, fam.
Facts. All right.
All right. So we starting with your game? Are we solidified on that?
We'll start with my game, yeah.
All right, let's start with your game. I'm gonna try to give you something gangster for the background vibes. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all need a W. All right, the Philadelphia Eagles will be playing arguably their most meaningful game since 2019 this Sunday against the Washington football team, who are currently the placeholder for the 7th seed in the NFC, but have the same record as the Eagles at 6-7. The football team started the season 2-6 with one of those wins coming via the luck variety when a Giants offsides call gave them a second shot at a game-winning field goal. We were there in person for that, Beard. Expectations heading into the season were that they would have one of the best defenses in the NFL, but that did not materialize as they led the league in points allowed with 210 after Week 7. More recently, they've played better, rattling off 4 straight wins before a damaging loss to the Cowboys in Week 14. Taylor Heineke has had some ups and downs this season, but last week against Micah Parsons and the Cowboys defense was definitely a down. Heineke was knocked out of the game after being sacked 4 times and turning the ball over twice. The Washington football team looked to bounce back on the road versus the Eagles this Sunday at 1 p.m. Jam-packed slate. Both NFC East games are going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Washington is coming into this game with the number 30th pass defense in the NFL and number 23rd scoring defense in the NFL. This is going to be a tough, tall task to handle. But shout out to my homie NTW one time who broke the news to me and the Beard earlier today. We got a little nugget here, okay? We can maybe guarantee that Jalen Hurts is not playing in this game. So what we're trying to figure out here is our source as reliable as it was when we heard about the concussion stuff that was happening with Daniel Jones earlier on in this season? We told y'all Daniel Jones would in fact play, and he did in fact play. Now we're trying to see if NTW can go 2 for 2. We're going to find out here. But Gardner Minshew is no slouch. The Beard, I'm trying to figure out how this roadmap looking for your Washington football team with all these players on COVID and dealing with a couple of injuries here.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem. You don't really even know who's going to be playing on Washington's side. And it's really thrown me for a dilemma because, typically when you know your team, you know your second guy, right?
Yeah.
And if you got like a favorite guy, you know your third guy. You know me, I like to reach for the third and fourth guys. I mean, we're on like 5th and 6th string here. Like we're on people that I don't even know where they came. Like, I watch college football. I mean, some of these guys, like, they're picking up off the streets. Literally, like, we're down to, like, I don't know who's going to play special teams. Like, that's how bad it is right now. So it's going to be definitely a sticky situation. But, Washington's been dealing with adversity a lot this season as far as the next man up sort of situation. So, if anybody can, and this is where I think coaching really comes into play. And I thought, if you guys watched on Tuesday, I put a lot of the blame on that loss for Washington against Dallas on the coaching staff, because I felt like they got bullied out of their game plan early on, and they made some really bad decisions. Obviously, the fourth down call and not punting it at down 11-0 completely changed the complexion of the game. So, and in looking at Jalen Hurts, Gardner Minshew, it's super, super tough because I like both of those quarterbacks. You know that. We talk about Hurts, we talk about Minshew, and it's like
that might be two of your favorite quarterbacks in the league. Like, not like you think they're the best, but might be two of your favorites. Gardner Minshew's been your guy for 2 years now. You definitely like Gardner Minshew, and both of us have been fans of Jalen Hurts and been rooting for him to actually play well out there.
And that's the thing is that, like, I don't if Jalen Hurts plays, right, like, I don't mind him having a bad game because, that's something, like, he's going to be around for a while. Gardner Minshew, though, it's like, he's like basically showcasing himself for the future. So Marjorie actually sent me the latest up-to-date COVID list. I don't, like, it's so bad. James Smith Williams, the law firm who you had playing DN or who's already a backup.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Allen, I think, is the biggest one because obviously the Eagles like to run the ball, and Jonathan Allen is a force in the middle of the defensive front. But then you also got our other backup, and Tuhill, he's out. Cole Holcomb's
Montez
questionable.
Sweat still didn't play last week, right?
No, Montez Sweat still didn't play, and the problem is because he's unvaccinated. So he might not even play in this game either, So then
and
you
Allen kind of holds y'all together in the center. With
Absolutely.
your two main defensive edge pass rushers out, to have that foundation in the interior with a guy like Allen is very important. So if he can't play, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, and then the rest of the middle, Tim Settle, Matt Ioannidis, they're both on COVID. Who else is on COVID? Kendall Fuller, Cameron Curl. Cameron Curl is huge loss.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many. I'm just looking. It looks like somebody's playing tic-tac-toe without the X's over here. Like, it's just O's for out. It's insane. I mean, I don't know who's going to play center either. I think we're down 3 centers. So we're going to have to move some stuff around.
Y'all were banged up at the end of that game. I had a nugget that I lost when I was kind of doing some research, and it talked about, like, on the offensive side of the ball, how many backups y'all had playing in that game and third stringers y'all had on y'all front, So already being banged up, and then now you got to deal with the COVID situation. I think the good thing is kind of reminds me of back in the preseason kind of time when Ron Rivera was talking about the emphasis on getting players vaccinated on that team. Which, you can have your opinions about the vaccination however you want. But I think as a football player, with the way that the rules are set up, it's a good thing to have your players vaccinated because then the amount of time they have to be off the field to be in the protocol is shorter, for the quarantines that they're trying to do here. So for guys that are vaccinated on the Washington football team, they do have a shot at playing this week. Outside of this game, I saw Odell Beckham was one of the players on the Rams, and Baker Mayfield was another player, and they talked about how they were both vaccinated.
And now Case Keenum.
Yeah, and now Case Keenum, which is, I'm sure that's close contact vibes. You know what I forgot about Case Keenum? I don't want to switch the subject here. But the miracle in Minneapolis, that was him that threw that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's a Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, totally forgot about that. But, you're hoping that these players could get back on the field, especially in Week 15 here, because we're making playoff runs here. We're trying to make pushes here for the playoffs for teams that are in the mix. And to have players, not be able to play because of COVID, that's going to be an asterisk that a lot of teams don't want to have, against their team. And it's going to be tough. Seems like Washington is dealing with that. We'll probably know a little bit more closer to Sunday what players are actually going to be out on the field.
And that's what makes, like, kind of looking at this game a little bit difficult. But you still have a philosophy. Obviously, what the philosophy I've been preaching and what they were doing on that winning streak that they had is to run the ball, stop the run, control the clock, things of that nature. Now, this is going to be an interesting matchup because the Eagles pretty much like to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So we all know they're killing the ball running. Okay, the 160 yards per game.
Number one
rushing.
in the NFL right
Number
now.
one in the NFL. Okay, what's really interesting is it's not like it's just one guy or even two guys or even three guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Jalen Hurts. It's Miles Sanders. It's Howard. It's Gainwell. It's Boston Scott. Every single person that runs the ball for their team is averaging at least 5 yards per carry.
Yeah, and they had their bye last week, but they're a lot of them are coming off of some of their best games. You talked about the roadmap for Miles Sanders against the Jets, and that was his best game of the season. He had 142 scrimmage yards, 120 rushing, and Kenneth Gainwell, he had a career high as well against the Jets with the 54 yards rushing. I think the biggest danger spot for you guys is Jordan Howard coming back, and all these guys are slated to play. Jordan Howard really makes that running game and that running attack that much better now, and I think that's why they decided to pay him that money, because it was well-deserved when you saw him perform after about a good 2 weeks that he was still a back that could get it done.
Now, Washington does defend against the run well, so they only allow 93.6 yards per game, which is up there,
It's fifth in the NFL.
Yeah, top 5 in the NFL. So, but the key thing is that they only allow 3.6 yards per carry to running backs, but the quarterbacks that can get outside on them is where they struggle a bit. They allow 5.6 yards a carry to quarterbacks.
Yeah,
so
it's not too terrible when you're thinking about quarterback running the ball. It's usually a lot of positive yards out there.
In comparison to the way that they defend the run when it's running backs is a bit different. And I think that has a lot to do with, the middle of the defense and the edge defense, obviously.
Yeah.
But
and QBs typically get more yards per carry. The running
and that's where like the Jalen Hurts, Gardner Minshew thing is a big difference, and no matter who's playing quarterback, the one thing that I think a lot of people forget about, and I've brought this up on numerous occasions about the Philadelphia Eagles, is they may not be the best passing team in the league, right? But they are never afraid to take those shots down the field. Yeah. And a lot of those shots have led to, pass interference calls. Now, the Washington defense, the secondary has been, especially in the beginning of the season, they've performed better over the last, during that win streak. But the big thing that's always happened with them is the miscommunication. And the last thing you want to do is have a miscommunication with Devonta Smith, Quez Watkins, or Jalen Reagor running, a fly. And it's just like you kind of putting yourself into a really tough situation because, Jalen Hurts can get the ball there if he's playing quarterback, and Minshew can get the ball there if he's playing quarterback. The other big problem is going to be the middle of the field. We're already really bad against the tight ends typically.
Yep.
Now, Goddard is not – he's a beast. I think we can all agree on the talent level of Goddard. Goddard is I'd say he could be in that top 10 tight end, conversation.
I'm kind of losing you a little bit there. I don't know. Okay, you back there. Yeah, I was losing you for a second, though. Yeah, I mean, Goddard, they just gave him the bag, and well-deserved for sure from him. He's coming off a game right now, off a career high in Week 13. With 6 catches for 105 yards, and it's his first 2-touchdown performance of the year. And when you look back at the game that he played against Washington football team the last time, he had 8 catches for 101 yards and 1 touchdown. So, I mean, I'm just looking for him. Like, he's probably going to be a pivotal point in the game plan for the Philadelphia Eagles. He also leads all NFL tight ends with an average of 14.5 yards per catch. That's the best in the NFL right now. So
that's insane.
Yeah, dude is definitely I'd say at least a top 5, top 10, on his way to being a top 5 kind of tight end right now in the league. It looks like you might be having a little bit of internet difficulties over there, just kind of blurring out a little bit, but that's all right. Lot of nuggets in this game as far as the Eagles offense, man. Jalen Hurts can join Lamar Jackson as the only quarterback with 50-plus rushing yards in 7 straight games. And he can tie Kyler Murray for 3rd most 50-plus rushing games by a quarterback in their first 2 seasons. So, if Jalen Hurts can get out here and play, I do agree with you that the attack from the Eagles is going to be a lot different. You're going to see that RPO-based kind of offense, a lot of read option based and predicated on what Jalen Hurts can do, either keeping the ball or giving it to the 2 workhorses in Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard. Boston Scott has kind of fell off the last couple of weeks, I feel like, but he's still there and still a durable running back if they need him. And Kenneth Gainwell seems to be like more of a Swiss Army knife kind of a vibe for the Eagles offense. But, I think that with you guys, y'all are really good against the rush, so I think it is going to force the Philadelphia Eagles to pass the ball, without a doubt. I think they're going to have to find a way to pass the ball, especially if you got Gardner Minshew at the quarterback position, because he's not going to be able to rely on any type of running game from the quarterback position. He's going to have to go out there and throw it. And I think a lot of fans got hyped, especially Philadelphia Eagles fans. They some of them wanted to start the controversy as far as the quarterback goes there.
Well, they did. They started it.
Yeah, you could see that. It was about, I'd say, split in the fan base. People saying, is Gardner Minshew going to be the starter now? And you see it, Gardner Minshew, man, first half was amazing in that game where he came in relief, or where he started for the injured Jalen Hurts. But in the second half, he barely threw the ball. I think it was 5 throws. And, you want to see him consistently do that. And I agree with you when you say, like, there's more riding on the line for a guy like Gardner Minshew here, because now the stock went up. I even heard people in the Giants community talking about Gardner Minshew like, man, maybe that's a stopgap quarterback we could bring in for next season. And, if he has a down performance, his stock is going to plummet for sure.
Yeah, it's a game-by-game sort of situation when it comes to Gardner Minshew and his stock, obviously. But offensively, it's what does Washington do? You
got to go to your bread and butter. You got to run the ball. I mean, it's been Antonio Gibson the whole year.
And he had to fumble again, and so he didn't touch the ball the rest of the game after he fumbled.
And that fumble came in the third quarter, I believe.
Yeah, third quarter. So he didn't touch the ball the rest of that game.
They must be streaming over there at your crib, because you clear, but it's just you dropping in and out. But the fumble was critical, from Antonio Gibson. That's his 6th fumble of the season, I believe. That's not a good look.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley has only fumbled the ball twice. Still, you as a running back, this isn't you don't look at that statistic like you look at quarterbacks. If you drop the ball as a running back, that's not a good look at all. At all.
And Heineke, he's a little banged up, obviously, but he practiced full the last 2 days, which is good. Terry McLaurin, though, concussion protocol. We still don't know 100% if he's going to play. Curtis Samuel now has moved to a new muscle in his leg. It's not the quad anymore. It's the hamstring now.
Yeah, so all that's tied together, yup.
He's back to the sideline. We still don't know if J.D. McKissick's going to play. J.D. McKissick, I think, is probably one of the biggest keys to the offense, just because outside of the obvious
you know what? We missed this super chat in the beginning.
I had it posted up here so I wouldn't forget it. Shout out to Zachary for the $2 super chat. Says, Authentic, who do you want to win the division?
I want the New York Giants to win.
In the division.
I want the New York Giants to win in the division, or win the division, however you want to word that. But right now it ain't looking like that. The New York Giants have been playing some terrible football. So if I had to pick, I would probably go with the Washington football team outside of New York, just for my brother, the Beard. But actually, I might have to correct that, because what I look like letting y'all win the division 2 years in a row. We talked about this at the beginning of the year, too, and I said, ain't no way that's going to happen. I thought the Giants was going to be in the way, but it looks like the Cowboys are going to take the division. So, the football gods.
Whoa. Not yet. We'll see after this week.
Now, listen, you got to pay attention to the words, my brother. I didn't say the Cowboys are going to win the division.
You said it looks like it.
I said it. Do it not look like it? The Cowboys are the best team in the division. They got the best weapons in the division. They got probably no, we can't say they got the best running game in the division right now. Even with Zeke struggling, I was going to say they got the best running game. They got the second best running game in the NFC East, I would say, right now, even with Zeke struggling. And they're dealing with injuries. And December, they looking good, man. What are they, 2-0 now? They're bouncing back off that terrible November. So it looks like, the Cowboys are going to win the division. And I might prefer that. I might prefer that over the Washington football team, because I can't have y'all win the division back-to-back. Y'all going, all off-season talk about how y'all won the division back-to-back with like 7 wins. I can't have that. Can't have that.
Jones is happy that you said that about.
He said,
the
"Bro,
Dallas
stop
Cowboys."
playing, Beard." He's right. And shout out to the homie one time in the building. Chef Oz is in the building. I've never seen Chef Oz in the building. Kind of looks like my homie Frankie in that profile pic. I see you, fam. But this is not accurate, bro. Jalen Hurts is garbage is not accurate. I think that people that say that Jalen Hurts is garbage, they come from a perspective of wanting true pocket passers. But when you can run the ball like Jalen Hurts does from the quarterback position, he's a threat. So for me, anybody that's a threat is not garbage. I don't even call Daniel Jones garbage at all. People always be like, you ragging on Daniel Jones, and I see a lot of New York Giants fans get hurt when I post statistics about Daniel Jones, but I would never call him garbage. I don't think any of the quarterbacks in the NFC East are garbage. Everyone is playing either average or right around average football, and the ones that are excelling, like a guy like Dak Prescott, who is in a bit of a slump right now, though I do put him as an above-average quarterback. But garbage is such a tough word. It's like, I saw people saying, it's like somebody coming back from a big premiere on a movie and being like, yo, that movie's garbage, right? I get where you're coming from, but at the end of the day, you got to look at more things. You got to look at more factors that weigh into the opinion and the decision to call something garbage. It's like with a film, you got to look at cinematography and shots and angles and things like that, and sound design and acting and who you casted and who's the director and all these things to formulate an opinion that even a bad movie we can't call garbage. And I wouldn't call Jalen Hurts a bad movie.
Yeah, it's super difficult to call quarterbacks in today's NFL garbage also. I mean, we went through all the quarterbacks last episode, and it's just like, you don't really there has been garbage quarterbacks in NFL, and there have been in recent years. But like right now, it's pretty much your top two quarterbacks and then your middle of the road quarterbacks, like we went over.
Yeah, or the young quarterbacks,
or the young ones, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I gotta holler at my Dukes and Caitlin over there, because whatever they streaming, whatever Netflix vibe movie they streaming over there got you just froze, man. You just straight freezing up on me like every couple seconds. I'm double checking the YouTube joint to just make sure if you getting there. But yeah, it's mucky. It's definitely mucky. Let me see.
The Wi-Fi has been coming up. I'm not on my Wi-Fi here, but it looks like it's cleared now.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. We're gonna work with it. You got me looking like I'm in 8K right now, Beard.
My
Dukes,
big
I need
shout
y'all
out
to stay off that net.
To Tuto for the $4.99 super chat. Says, salute to Awthentik. Drop by your office to pay our proper respects. And for Giants Nations, we slap all slimy, stinky Eagles fans. Lehu Zahers.
That might be for the Washington football team
Out
this
of
week,
doors.
slapping the Eagles fans. We'll see. I really think this Washington Eagles matchup is a lot better than the Giants Cowboys matchup. This is more equal, and really, talk about a must-win game. This is a must-win game. Both teams sitting at 6 and 7 right now. Trying to get into that 7th seed. The Atlanta Falcons are still right there in the mix, and then you got to watch out for teams like the Vikings as well. It's the Beard's Wi-Fi is on the COVID list. Shout out Kevin one time in the building. Yeah, that's rare. The Beard usually has a good connection, man. I'm glad Tommy's not here. He would try and fry you for that. He's always trying to fry people on the internet connection. But it's looking sharp now. But let me just see if we missed anything as far as any little nuggets. Oh, speaking of your defense playing better during that stretch. Right now, the Washington defense is allowing 302.4 yards from scrimmage per game since Week 10. That ranks 3rd in the NFL behind New England and Indianapolis. During that 4-game winning streak, y'all did a lot, and Taylor Heineke looked good during that 4-game winning streak too. He ranks 2nd in the NFL since Week 10 in completion percentage at 71.5. Washington also leads the NFL in time of possession since Week 10. When you guys increase the emphasis on your running game, they've been listening to Awthentik and more importantly, the Beard and the roadmaps that he's been laying out there. And Antonio Gibson right now, you talked about this on Tuesday, 2nd in rushing in the NFC with 836 yards rushing this season. Dalvin Cook has 978, but Gibson, with him, I think it's them turnovers and the 6 fumbles. You talked about how he didn't lose them all, but that's definitely a problem over there with Gibson. And it seems like it's a lingering problem. Like, he kind of has a fumbling, I forget how you described it, but you described it really well. You didn't say it was a problem, but he has a fumbling issue, I think is what you said.
Yeah. And he did it a lot of times in just like the worst possible times. So it's definitely magnified when you're fumbling. Like, I mean, even this one was a pivotal fumble because it came
Yeah.
at a time where, the momentum was kind of shifting a little bit. So, and Ron Rivera spoke on it this week. He said that, a lot of his fumbles have occurred when he was going to the ground. So
Right.
he was talking about how, like, a lot of players brace for contact as they're getting ready to go to the ground.
Yeah.
And sometimes they forget about the ball security. And so he said that that's something that they have been working on. So hopefully, my main thing is I just want to make sure that they're still on the same, wavelength as far as the game plan of running the ball and using Antonio Gibson, because this has been this way for 2 years now. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
The offense runs through Antonio Gibson. Without Antonio Gibson, and it doesn't have to be. There's a big difference between like relying on it, like a Derrick Henry type of offense, where
right.
it's like, like they're giving him 30 plus carries and he's going for 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. Like they don't necessarily need that sort of production out of Antonio Gibson. They just need, him to kind of like, he's the kickstart. He's the making those gears kind of work together, because it takes a lot of the pressure off of Taylor Heinicke, because we saw, I mean, Taylor Heinicke cannot. If you need a game where you have to have Taylor Heinicke go out there and slang the rock 40 times, you got like a 5% chance of winning that game.
Yeah, and what happens is Taylor Heinicke and the Washington football team get down by too many points, and they talked about this in the press conference as well. Ron Rivera talked about how Taylor Heinicke was pressing, because he wanted to make the big play to try to get back in the game. And when they asked Taylor Heinicke the exact same question about him pressing, he totally admitted to it. And he said, yeah, when we get down, I got to figure out how to, make the big plays without trying to chase the big plays, which, at the quarterback position, that the good quarterbacks do that. They live to see another day. They throw the ball away. But when you get down in the game 24-0, those are the kind of games that Taylor Heinicke is not going to be able to climb out of. There's not many quarterbacks that you can put out there that are going to climb out of those kind of games. You got to be top 5, I'd say, to be able to try to climb out of those kind of games. But I like the skill set with Taylor Heinicke. You definitely got to rely on the run in this game. The Eagles' defense is 12th. They're tied for 12th as far as rush defense goes in the NFL, and their pass defense is 11th. So this is not going to be an easy task for the Washington football team. Y'all have 2 straight wins against the Eagles in the last 2 matchups. Previous to that, y'all had lost 6 straight to them. So the Eagles are definitely looking back to get some revenge. And Washington, y'all are going to be playing. This is the second of your 5 consecutive games against NFC East opponents to end the season. And I wanted to look into this, too, to see when the last time something like this possibly happened. And that hasn't happened since 1995 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that they closed the regular season with 5 divisional opponents in a row. So this is going to be a tough stretch. Taylor Heinicke's banged up in this game. They said it was a knee injury. It could also be a head injury. Who knows? Because the way Michael Parsons was smacking him, it was like he was smacking that dude to the ground, man. That was like the kind of tackles that you don't want to try to get at the quarterback position. And, it's tough to see Taylor Heinicke like that, dealing with scraps on the line. And people aren't giving him the benefit of the doubt or that excuse, like we get in New York. Everyone's like, everything that goes wrong in New York, we blame it on the offensive line. And you haven't been hearing that same story with the Washington football team. People just expect Taylor Heinicke to go out there and get the job done. No Logan Thomas again, I'm assuming, for this game here.
No, I don't think he's going to play the rest of the year.
Yeah, even though it wasn't a tear.
I think they came out and said that they did think that they did come out and say that the second round of tests did show that it was a tear.
Oh, so he did tear the ACL.
He did tear the ACL, yeah.
Yeah, that's horrible for him. So speedy recovery for Logan Thomas, who, I was looking at there's a homie on Twitter. I think his name is @cool&Hero, I think. He was talking about Mike Glennon's brother playing quarterback. He was the quarterback to play quarterback at Virginia Tech after Mike Vick. It went to I forget Chris Glennon, I believe his name was, right? So I went through this whole thing of like looking up highlights from Mike Glennon's younger brother, which led me down to look at the list of quarterbacks that played at Virginia Tech, and that's where Logan Thomas was quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, which is pretty funny, man, to just see that, because I remember there was a quarterback that was at Virginia Tech around the time that Marcus Vick was over there as well. And he wore number 3, and I was like, who was that? I can't remember if that was Logan Thomas or not. But, man, Mike, let me tell you, you got to go look at the Marcus Vick video when he was at what's the joint called? Like a fitness, a gym, when he was at a gym. And the police pulled up on him for the warrant. And he was like, nah, he's like copping and pleading for like a good 5 to 10 minutes. Like, I think y'all got the wrong dude. And then he just, boom, put on the burners and trucked all the police, ran out the door, got down like about 10 blocks, smoked the police. Yeah. But then I guess was like, they're going to know I'm Marcus Vick, and stopped, and they had to detain him. It's one of the most hilarious videos I've ever seen. Me and my homie Fats, we look at that video and we just die laughing every time we see it. I definitely suggest looking that one up. But in this game, I'm going to go ahead and give my score prediction on this one right off the bat here. It's such a difficult game to pick because Washington is so banged up with the COVID situation. The Eagles might have Gardner Minshew at quarterback, who I'm not completely sold on as a Eagle. I'm sold on Gardner Minshew. I know that he could be a starter in this league, but I'm not sold on him as an Eagle. I don't know what to expect here. Terry McLaurin's coming off his worst game of the season with 0 catches, 4 targets. He's got to go up against Darius Slay, who is having a year, okay? Darius Slay had 3 touchdowns on the season already. He had only had 1 defensive touchdown coming into this in his whole entire career. I think that these are both 2 teams that don't deserve to be in the playoffs. Let me make that clear. And I know that's going to make you go, yeah, right? Because y'all are average. And when you stop the run against the Washington football team outside of that, y'all are below average.
Understandable.
So that's what makes it more difficult for me to pick this game, because I think the Eagles aren't a playoff team either, but I think the Eagles might be a little bit better than the Washington football team. So I'm going to pick the Eagles in this one. If Jalen Hurts was playing, I would 1,000% pick the Eagles in a close game. I'm gonna pick the Eagles in this one either way. I'm gonna go 20. I'm gonna go 24-17 Philadelphia Eagles.
Did you see what the spread was in this game?
I did not. I guess it was Eagles favored by 2.5.
9.5 points.
Eagles are favored by 9.5.
Yeah. I thought it was a typo.
That's interesting.
I had to go back and check.
I wonder if that'll change as we get closer to the game. And now all this information, a lot of this information came out today about the COVID stuff too, which might have made it worse for y'all.
Yeah, I mean, I checked the line like right before we went live, and I was looking on ESPN and it said 9.5. I said, "There's absolutely no way. This makes no sense."
Yeah,
like I would understand like what you said. So then I went to FanDuel Sportsbook and it's 9.5. The Eagles are 9.5-point favorites.
Yeah, that's
to give
crucial.
You a little bit of perspective. Dallas is a 10.5-point favorite against the Giants.
Yeah, that's interesting.
With my mind, I think there's absolutely no way Washington wins this game. No way.
We do know that teams coming off the bye do struggle though. That's something to keep in mind. And maybe there's a little bit of overconfidence brewing in the Philadelphia locker room, being that they just beat the Jets. Jets are awful.
I kind of almost have to Shane Falco. Yeah, the replacements. Shout
out
it's one of those situations. Look, I'm going to pick with my heart for once in my life, okay? What, you don't believe that I'll never pick with my heart?
Pick with your heart a lot, I feel like.
Never, man. Never. I always pick with my mind, man.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to take the Washington
some Netflix.
I'm in this game by a final score.
Oh, yeah, you're not good. Yeah. Miss Kelly's killing you right now. What's Miss Kelly looking at?
They're not even here. It must be a Comcast issue. Yeah.
Yeah, they just wilding out on you. But now I'm looking at spreads as of 5 hours ago is 7 on pretty much everything. DraftKings, FanDuel, Unibet, and BetMGM all got the Eagles -7 right now. Over under is 44.
So it's gone down 2.5 points in the last hour.
Yeah.
I was wondering, that 9.5 was just crazy. But I'm gonna take Washington football team to win this game by a final score of 17-15.
Again?
Let's go with it. Let's go with the 17-15.
Would that be 3? No, okay. So it would be 3 wins in a row at 17-15. You sure you want to do that?
17-15. Washington.
I'm giving you an alley-oop here to we're going under the tent to go review this one. I'm giving you a chance here. 17-15 again, man.
3
times in one season. It's already a strange score for 15. How are the Eagles going to get to 15? A couple field goals and a touchdown,
or a missed extra point. Got to go for 2. 17-15.
I gave him a chance, fam. I gave him a chance.
What? Listen, if it ends up 17-15, though, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you'll look like Nostradamus out this jump.
Hey, 17-15.
I like it.
Washington
Did we get this Tuto super chat right here?
No, we didn't. It just came up. Big shout out to Tuto. For the $4.99 super chat. Says, don't really matter who do you bring in as GM, head coach, or quarterback as long as moron Mara fam manipulates their stupid opinions. Season is dead.
That is facts. The season is dead. It's definitely dead right now. What we got? 4 weeks left. Got the Cowboys here. The Cowboys is itching for another blowout. We'll get to that. I got a lot to say for that game for sure. Tuto, we already appreciate you, man.
We need some giants, giant love this weekend.
I mean, I think y'all be all right. Just win y'all games, Y'all be all right.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, help us out a little bit. That's all I'm asking for, Giants Nation. I'm always showing y'all love. Can we get a dub out of y'all against the Cowboys?
Yeah, you've picked us in a couple of games that I didn't pick us in. We actually got some dubs.
I mean, I think every time I picked the Giants to win, they lost except for one. That was the Raiders game.
Raiders, yup.
Raiders, I think Carolina maybe actually
I picked that Saints game. That's the only one I was really spot on. But I can't. I'm great at picking games. But then when you implement my family and my squad in it, then the pride starts getting, it's just not a good recipe for a good pick from Awthentik. I got to keep it real with you. But other teams I can normally pick well.
So if Washington loses and Dallas wins, I'm pretty sure they clinched the division.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So y'all have now played both matchups against the Dallas Cowboys, right?
No, we played the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, y'all got them one more
Eagles
time.
Game next week.
So even with the split, nothing could happen with y'all, huh?
What do you mean? Like if
as far as winning the division,
because
are they 2 games up on y'all right now?
2 games up on us right now, yeah.
With 4 games to go, okay. So if they win,
we would have to win out. We would have to win out, and I think they have to lose. Obviously they would.
Yeah,
if we win out, they would lose one more game to us. And then they would have to lose another one or somewhere between these next couple of weeks. It's going to be interesting. I would hope that, going into that game next week, it would be completely different if we come away with a victory. If we can win this game against the Eagles, considering how bad and our roster is right now as far as injuries and COVID lists. I mean, there's only one other team that has more players on COVID lists right now than us, and that's the Los Angeles Rams. And they're only just jumped us because they just put another 9 players on the COVID list just now. So
yeah, both Washington and the Cleveland Browns have 21 players now. And the Rams have 25 players now on the COVID list. Just updated actually from Adam Schefter just right a second ago here. All 3 games are still scheduled to play this weekend, though. We'll see. I look for the number to clean up a little bit, as we get closer to kickoff, because a lot of these players are going to be vaccinated, and hopefully they can figure out a way to get all these players on the field. I really want to see Odell Beckham on the field because he's going for his 4th straight game with a touchdown. He hadn't done that in a really, really long time. He got his 3rd straight against who was that last week? Against the Cardinals. And that's the first time he had done that since being a New York Giant in 2015. So I'm rooting for Odell, man. And the celebration was on fire. He did the whole Detroit, weapons kind of detain your weapon kind of dude that's gone viral on the internet here.
I love watching people's reactions to his videos.
Yo, they're hilarious. It's crazy how something like that can make you a celebrity kind of overnight, man. But so you go on with the 17-15. I'm going
17-15. Washington football team defeats the Philadelphia Eagles.
Saying it like that is
alive.
not going to help you. I'm just keeping it
No?
funky with you. No, 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 it's not. I
Cue
got
the
them at
Bee Gees.
24-17 for the Philadelphia Eagles, and you got 17-15 for the Washington football team. Any other things for this game before we wrap this one up?
Nah, I just keeping my fingers crossed, and I'm gonna be watching. I'm gonna be in constant contact with Ian and Adam. Just and waiting for my agent to call me back and let me know if they're gonna need me to, because I gotta have to travel to Philly. We got a couple of days here.
Oh,
so,
yeah, so you could dress. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We appreciate you
Yeah.
pulling up on the podcast with all this in your life happening. I mean, that's amazing.
Hey, look, man. Listen, Authentic and the Beard over everything.
That's what's up.
AATB. Shout out Stephen White,
AATB.
another Cowboys fan, said he heard the Beard shout out on Law Nation. Appreciate it. Yes,
Oh, that's what's up.
I had to go back over there and pay my dues after I was talking smack beforehand.
Big fan of Law Nation, yo. Real high quality podcast over there, man. I like what he's doing over there. Setup's dope, and he has some really good takes. Let's go to a quick commercial break. And matter of fact, can you play the FanFest commercial break? I just want to relive that again real quick. And we'll be right back to talk about that Giants welcoming the Dallas Cowboys game here in 1 second. So, as you can see, the vibes have drastically changed since August for the New York Giants.
Chant.
The whole playoffs chant, man, people were running laps willingly at that Giants Fan Fest in honor of our head coach, Joe Judge. But things have definitely derailed since then. I just wanted to, relive that. That was a video shot and edited by me when I went up to New York to MetLife Stadium for the Giants Fan Fest that happened over the summer in August, man. It was a blast. It was good to kick it with some fans out there. Looking forward to seeing some fans. It might not happen this season. Don't put your money on it because I might not make it to that Washington football team game in New York. We'll see. If we can play spoiler and maybe I can find me a good bargain on some tickets, I might make my way up there. But very, very interesting, man. There's another clip from that video that wasn't shown there with the license plate guy. Shout out the license plate guy one time. He was actually on Twitter going back and forth with Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham responded to one of his tweets like, oh, so I'm not a locker room cancer. I'm not a bad human being and all this stuff. It was kind of funny. But license plate guy was at that Fan Fest saying a speech to some of the younger fans, and he said, I promise y'all, Daniel Jones is going to lead us to the promised land. And I was like, talk that talk, LPG. Things have changed drastically since then, man. But let's get into this matchup between the Cowboys and the New York Giants. The Dallas Cowboys have been having a much better December than their dismal November. After their win against the Washington football team in Week 14, the Cowboys are now 9-4 on the season and 3-0 in the division. From one NFC East opponent to the next, the Cowboys are set to take on the struggling 4-9 New York Giants at MetLife Stadium on Sunday. The Cowboys have won their last two games while the New York Giants have lost their last two games. This will be the second time these two teams meet this year. In Week 5, the Cowboys beat the Giants in dominating fashion with a 44-20 victory in Dallas with Mike Glennon under center when Daniel Jones was knocked out in the first half. I need like a ring bell from, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out or something, because y'all remember that hit. On paper, the Cowboys should win this game as they have won 8 of their last 9 games against the New York Giants, which this was very, very, very surprising to me. Winning 8 of their last 9 against the Giants. So, however, the Cowboys have been incredibly inconsistent throughout the season, especially on offense. Prescott has had multiple interception games in 2 of his last 4 appearances. Injuries have hit the running back department in a major way, but the Cowboys defense is healthy and playing with a vengeance. The Cowboys defense put on a spectacular display against Washington in Week 15 with a fistful of game-changing plays. New York has one of the worst scoring offenses in the league, but it is a divisional matchup. And y'all know one of my favorite movies out there, starring my man Willie Beeman, is Any Given Sunday. So Any Given Sunday, these New York Giants can pull off a victory. Now, let's talk about some of these injuries and some of the stuff happening with the COVID situation in this game. Tyron Smith will miss his 4th game of the season with the left ankle injury. He was out 3 consecutive games earlier in the season and re-injured it last Sunday against Washington. He's not going to be playing in this game. The Cowboys are hoping that Tony Pollard can return after missing a game with his foot injury. Word on the block that I'm hearing is that Tony Pollard might be out for the rest of the regular season, but we'll see. They're talking about he could maybe come back for the playoffs. He's also questionable to come back for this game. I'm not 100% sure, but dealing with that foot injury could have him out for some extended time. We'll see. Daniel Jones is most likely going to miss this game. It's going to be his 3rd straight game that he's going to miss with that neck injury. Wide receiver Kadarius Toney is dealing with an oblique injury, and he's got COVID-19 now. Adoree Jackson's dealing with the quad. He also was just reported to be on the COVID protocol list here. Xavier McKinney is a very important one on the COVID-19 list who is not vaccinated. Cornerback Aaron Robinson is also on that COVID list. And Leonard Williams is looking a little bit iffy for this game with that tricep injury he got last week. Now, let's talk about this Giants offense. Going to have to definitely run the ball. Got to take a page out of my man The Beard's book and just run the damn ball. The Giants now are 26th in the league in rushing yards. As a team, the Giants are averaging 4.0 yards per carry, which is just not going to get it done in today's day and age in the NFL. Devontae Booker is the Giants' leading rusher right now with 432 yards on the season. And he has a higher yards per carry average than Saquon Barkley does on the season. Booker's at 4.1 yards per carry, and Saquon Barkley is at 3.8. The Giants rushed for 135 yards against the Chargers last week. Devontae Booker had 56 yards and 84 yards from scrimmage, which was a pretty decent game for him. And Barkley ran for a season high of 64 yards last week. He also caught 3 passes for 31 yards. Can't forget that Saquon Barkley sprained his ankle last time these two teams matched up. That was also the big game from Kadarius Toney, where he had 189 yards on 10 catches. Mike Glennon was at quarterback for most of the game. Last week we saw some decent play from the tight end position. Kyle Rudolph had a 66-yard catch against the Los Angeles Chargers. That's his longest of his 11-year career, which surprised me.
Notre Dame alum.
Notre Dame alum. Got to throw that out there, definitely. And Evan Ingram has been having a pretty decent season too, man. Definitely the drops have been down for Evan Ingram. He needs 4 catches to become just the 6th tight end in NFL history. Anytime I hear about a tight end or any position for that matter having any statistics that are the first or, in the top rankings of NFL history, that's a good thing. He needs 4 catches to become the 6th tight end in NFL history with 40 catches in each of his first 5 seasons. So, when you gauging what happens at the tight end position, keep things like that in mind. I mean, there's only been 6 tight ends that have had 40 catches to start their 5-year career, which that's a feat of its own.
I was
right
surprised by that 100% because I read that and I was like, really? There's only been that many other tight ends? And it just kind of goes to show you how easily the negative things are magnified,
for sure.
Over the positive things like that. Because I mean that does show you some. I mean, more than some. That shows you consistency. The consistency that only 5 other tight ends have had in the history of the National
You dismiss
Football
the drops, when you think about a statistic like that. So it does remind me of Daniel Jones' rookie season. You get half the people who talk about Daniel Jones in 2019, they're like, oh my God, 24 touchdowns. They harp on that number. But then the other half that are talking about it, they're like 19 fumbles. All the interceptions to go along with that. It was 12 interceptions and 19 fumbles. I think he had lost 11 of those fumbles. 5 of them were scoop and scores. So it's you can choose what to really focus in on when you have a player like that. And turnovers is never a good thing. And with Evan Ingram, man, a lot of his drops have led to interceptions for Daniel Jones. So a lot of Giants fans are not willing to kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Give him any kind of leadway. With these kind of statistics that deal with receptions because the drops have been so high. And another statistic I saw here from the receiving corps is Sterling Shepard. Sterling Shepard, he has at least 7 catches and 75 yards in 3 of his last 4 games at home. The thing with Sterling Shepard is the injuries. When I look at this Giants team and players that could stick around, I feel like moving into 2021, like players that you can, like, without any type of doubt, you can come back on this team. I look at Xavier McKinney. I look at Azeez Ojulari. I look at Leonard Williams. I know the bag is high, but he's a player who's played well enough to be on this team next year. I look at Robinson at the cornerback position, who's been playing well as of late. I look at Kadarius Toney on the offensive side of the ball. I look at Saquon Barkley as a guy who kind of has to come back. They gave him the option. And I look at Sterling Shepard as one of those guys that is very hard to determine whether he's going to be back. Also got to put Andrew Thomas in that mix too as the left tackle, probably the only offensive lineman I want to see come back. But Shepard, he's had an up and down type of career where injuries have really derailed him. He came back from his injury last week. I think he's dealing with either a quad or hamstring injury, and he had 2 catches for 27 yards, 1 drop in that game too. I'm looking for him to have a better game at home, going up against the Dallas Cowboys, which this defense from the Cowboys, man, we know they put the league on notice, man. Michael
He's
Parsons
gonna need
right
a
now.
big game because
It might be a big game. I mean,
those quick passes. I think that's why they're gonna need Sterling Shepard, because Glennon's gonna have to get rid of the rock fast because of that Dallas defense is just crazy when they're full strength. I mean, Gallimore, Parsons, Lawrence, Gregory. It's just it's scary.
You know what I saw about Lawrence is there's some rumors going around that they might cut him. I thought that was really interesting, because he makes up the trio, I feel like, on that defensive line that really makes it ferocious, when he is healthy and when he's playing well. But I was going to say, Micah Parsons, man, on the year right now, he's got 75 total tackles, okay? There's been some conversations about comparison to Lawrence Taylor. And I think it's important that when a player comes into the league of this caliber, we could compare him to Javon Kearse, because that's whose rookie record right now that he's challenging right now. He's only 2.5 sacks behind Javon Kearse's rookie record of 14.5, right? It is important to me, okay? I got into a couple little discussions on Twitter about this earlier, and people were split on this, I feel like. But it is important to me that when you see a guy come out the gates like this as a edge rusher, it's important to compare him to the greats. When Steph Curry got in the league and he started shooting lights out, we automatically going to start comparing him to Reggie Miller and Ray Allen right off the bat. And then you look at it just a couple days ago, maybe 2 days ago, you see Steph Curry breaks that record, and the people that were talking about it early, they don't look crazy. They don't look silly. They look like they might have known what they were talking about before people wanted to jump on that bandwagon. I was talking about this today on Twitter with Entertainer too, and compared it to music. You look at Kendrick Lamar, from day one, right after Section 80 came out as a mixtape, they're talking about this kid is the next Tupac. 4 albums, 5 albums, 6 albums later, Kendrick Lamar is Tupac. You look at the first album that he dropped with Good Kid, Mad City, and I know this isn't necessarily football related, but you talk about people who have been hyping up Kendrick Lamar from day one, and now that's exactly what happened. So when you see that potential, I think it is important for the fans and the media to make those comparisons. Now, nobody's saying that Micah Parsons is going to be Lawrence Taylor, but with these kind of numbers that he's put up right now already, 12 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, there hasn't been a player to do that in 15 years. There has not been a player with 12 sacks at this point in the season and 3 forced fumbles in 15 years. So we got to look at this and compare it, at least put him in the conversations with guys like Lawrence Taylor, because Lawrence Taylor's the greatest at that position. And it's no disrespect to a guy like Lawrence Taylor. This is actually a nod to a guy like Lawrence Taylor to be like, yo, we're looking at it like, hey, this kid, we got to compare him to the greatest. And I think that flatters some of these legends and some of these greats out there. I do think it's just important to have those type of conversations. Now, he was a first-round pick coming out of Penn State. He has at least 2 sacks 3 times during his 6-game run of at least a sack in every one of those 6 games. He's on a tear right now. When you saw him against Taylor Heineke, the dude was just, he looks like a machine. Earlier on in the season, he coined the nickname himself. He called himself the Terminator, man. This dude is coming after quarterbacks. And he said, I'm putting the league on notice. This was around like week 3, week 4. He said, I'm putting the league on notice right now that I'm the Terminator and I'm coming for every quarterback that we go up against. And that's exactly what he's doing right now. The Cowboys defense has stepped up. What's my man from Atlanta? That was the head coach in Atlanta that's now the defensive coordinator.
Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn. took over for Nolan. He's doing a fantastic job with his defense. And I was thinking at first with the Cowboys that they could win games on the back of their running game and on the back of their passing game. We see now that that's not the case. It's either win it with the running game and a functioning Dak Prescott and a great wide receiver core, or win it on the back of your defense like they did against the Washington football team on this past Sunday. Now, the Cowboys have already tied a club record with 5 defensive touchdowns this year. The last time they did that was in 2013. And with everything that's happening with Micah Parsons, you've seen Trayvon Diggs kind of take a bit of a backseat to as far as the headlines. But he's the NFL leader right now in interceptions with 9 interceptions. So they got 2 players on their defense right now that are playing fantastic football. He's got a shot at being the 3rd double-digit interception guy in that franchise with the Cowboys. And the most recent was Everson Walls. He's got the club record from 1981 with 11 interceptions. I don't know. I feel like teams are kind of like not trying to throw at Diggs so crazy now because they realize what he did in the beginning of the year. But the Cowboys right now, they're second to the Colts in the NFL with 27 takeaways. That defense is something to be messed with. And you talk about turning it around in a year. I had a conversation about turning around your offensive line in 1 year. And the homie I was chopping it up with, he did make a good point. He said, well, like, if they're continuously trying to fix those problems and failing, then it's not necessarily turning it around in 1 year because, Diggs now being in his 2nd year. But for me, man, that defense was they were historically looking like one of the worst defenses in 2020. And to come away now and be a defense that is ranked up there now, they're not that defense that is at the bottom of the league. The Cowboys defense overall is 23rd, which is not that great. But their rush defense is now 15th, and in scoring, they're 12th. To have your defense be 12th in scoring is just fantastic for me. So their defense they're going to be a problem. And I look at this game like it's not going to surprise me if the Giants just completely get blown out again. It's really not going to surprise me because not only that, we'll get to the super chat too real quick.
Shout out to Robert for the $4.99 super chat. It says, beat Dallas, please, and Merry Christmas, fellas. I had to bring it up because I started hearing beating Dallas, Giants maybe, victory. So shout out to Robert. Appreciate that, buddy.
Definitely big shout out to Robert one time in the building, man. We appreciate your presence in the building, man, and we appreciate that super chat. I take it Robert is a Washington fan?
I don't think so. I think he's a Giants fan.
The super chat had vibes of like beat them for us the way I read it. I don't know why. Maybe it was just the way I was reading it. I'm not sure if Robert is a Giants fan. Either way, man, definitely appreciate you being in the building. But also want to talk about the Cowboys offense and the skid that Dak Prescott has been on for the last 4 games. 4 touchdowns in those 4 games, 5 interceptions. The crazy part about the way Dak Prescott is playing right now is like this 4-game slump, as people are calling it. I would take this 4-game slump for my quarterback as the regular day for my quarterback, okay? Because for me, Dak Prescott is struggling because they're getting more pressure on the quarterback. I talked about this on Tuesday. 11 times he's been sacked in the past 4 games. But still, Dak Prescott on the year is still having a fantastic year. A 98.1 passer rating, 24 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, 3,381 yards. And don't forget he missed the game against the Minnesota Vikings as well. And his completion percentage is up 67.9% on the year. Dak Prescott has owned the New York Giants, too. In the past 3 visits to New York, Prescott is averaging 325 yards passing per game with 10 touchdowns and 1 interception. He's won 8 in a row against the New York Giants since losing twice as a rookie. The Cowboys had lost 3 games in Dak Prescott's rookie season. 2 of them were to the New York Giants. When we beat them, what was that? The last week of 2020, Dak Prescott wasn't there. They had Andy Dalton at the helm. So you're looking at a quarterback that's won 8 in a row, and I hope I'm jinxing him like we, jinx a field goal kicker or something like that. But Dak Prescott's 20 touchdown passes against the New York Giants are the most for him against any other team in the NFL. I know it's a divisional opponent, but Dak Prescott, you know how Aaron Rodgers talked about how he owned the Chicago Bears? I don't know if Dak Prescott owns us, but he kind of owns us on the weekends. He's doing a little bit of babysitting on the weekends for the New York Giants, for sure. And Cowboys weapons, we know, Dak Prescott on a 4-game slump, whatever you want to call it. CeeDee Lamb is still balling out, and CeeDee Lamb is pushing the 2,000 yards from scrimmage in his first 2 seasons. which is another amazing accomplishment for him. It would be the only Cowboys to ever reach 2,000 yards from the wide receiver position since Bob Hayes. And Bob Hayes is a Hall of Famer for those that don't know. And going over his 2020 season, CeeDee Lamb has not missed a beat. 2020, he had 74 receptions on 111 targets for, let me just scroll this up here just a little bit, for 935 yards and 5 touchdowns. That was in 2020. In 2021, he's got 64 receptions with 11 less targets. He got 100 targets in 2021 so far, 890 yards, 6 touchdowns. So he's on pace to be the same exact guy for 2 seasons. And I love to see that consistency from a wide receiver. First-round draft pick. CeeDee Lamb's the kind of wide receiver that I'm hoping that a guy like Kadarius Toney can actually turn into. And Amari Cooper's been quiet, but on the year he's got 51 receptions, 675 yards, and 6 touchdowns. You look at their wide receiver core. The Giants wide receivers, right now we have not even just the wide receivers. The Giants have thrown touchdowns to 11 different players on the team, which is just ridiculous. And we barely have the amount of touchdowns they got. As of last week, the Giants had 18 total touchdowns. And then you had Mike Glennon score 3 in this past week. So now we're sitting on 21. Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb have 12 touchdowns between just the 2 of them. So they're cooking. Zeke Elliott, we know he's been on a slump, but he's got reasoning for it with the knee injury for sure. Zeke Elliott has reached 100 yards rushing 4 times in 28 games since the start of 2020, which that is not good. By far his longest drought of his career. And Zeke Elliott right now, in this 4-game streak where he's been struggling, he's only averaging 4 yards per carry. And that's not like Zeke Elliott, but we know we got to keep Zeke Elliott on the field in pass protection. He's one of the best pass-protecting running backs in the whole entire league. In the first meeting between Dallas and New York, they relied heavily on Zeke Elliott. I don't know if Giants fans remember this, but they ran zone right like every damn play.
They ran for 201 yards.
201 yards on 39 attempts, 110 yards on 21 carries just for Zeke Elliott in that game. Zeke's still having a good year. He's on pace to get over 1,000 yards, 810 yards on the season. He's got 8 touchdowns, and he's got a receiving touchdown on the year. He's got 41 receptions on 51 targets. So that's the thing that you've seen Zeke Elliott improve on, which you didn't see early on in his career, is he's being utilized in the passing game as well. And the Giants defense, you don't know what to expect. They've been spotty all year long. You had that run of about 3 to 4 games, which was not against high competition. Let's keep it funky. The game that stands out to me is the almost shutout against the Carolina Panthers, where we beat them 25-3. But we had that streak of 13 straight games with the takeaway, and now that we have not had that streak, we had the streak broken against the Miami Dolphins. The Giants defense has been lackluster for these last 2 weeks in these 2 losses. So there's nothing really that stands out to me. Azeez Ojulari is definitely balling out right now. He's extending his team rookie record, which I believe was held by B.J. Hill, who we traded. We traded B.J. Hill early on in the season for Billy Price, which is just ridiculous. He's over there. I forget where B.J. Hill went, but he's got 5.5 sacks on the season. Might be with the Bengals. I think it's with the Bengals. And the other standout, I think, from this defense, in mentioning players that I think need to come back, is Tay Crowder. Quietly having a fantastic year filling in for Blake Martinez. He's 4 tackles away from 100 tackles, and I know people did not expect that from Tay Crowder. You've seen him in coverage doing things, and he's another player that I think that the Giants got to bring back. So I got about a good 7 to 8 players that I think the Giants need to bring back. The only victory for the New York Giants versus the Cowboys since the start of 2017, it's the only game that Dak Prescott missed, and it was that last game, Week 17. We beat him 23-19, barely beat him. Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys are 3-0 against the NFC East. I talked about that, and has a 3-game division lead with 4 games remaining. No other NFL team is unbeaten in its division in the entire league right now, and the Dallas Cowboys are 3-0. Mike McCarthy 2-0 in December. He's pushing his December record to 40-19. Those victories and winning percentage are better than any other month for Mike McCarthy. So you know how you and Monique had that little debate about the Cowboys winning in December? They brought in the right coach to continue Dak Prescott's onslaught in December. And we know that the Giants have lost 2 straight, but they won their last 3 at MetLife Stadium. So to me, that says this game could be close. Like I said, it won't surprise me if the Cowboys blow out the New York Giants. But I think that, like, there's a lot riding here in this rivalry. They
Yeah,
already
it's a
blew us
division
out in
game.
one game. When you look back to Joe Judge's first season, there was only one team that blew us out, and that was the San Francisco 49ers with a bunch of backups. Outside of that, Joe Judge coached his first year very close. And when I look back at every score from the first week or from the first year of Joe Judge, it really had me like reconsidering and reevaluating my opinion on him as a head coach, because I would say the last 4 weeks, I've been very, very hard on Joe Judge and actually have been calling for his job. But when you look at statistics like that the Giants were in every game, I mean, you're talking about the Rams, the Steelers, the Cardinals even, the Browns last year, the Ravens took care of us, I know, but it was still a competitive game. And Joe Judge had us in a bunch of competitive games. We beat the Seahawks. You know, we played against a bunch of lackluster quarterbacks, I will say that. But he had this defense looking up. So even me, myself, right now, I'm reevaluating things with Joe Judge and what's happening with the New York Giants. I still feel I want a clean house. I want a new coach. I want a new GM. I want a new quarterback. That's how I've been feeling. And I feel like that still today. But Joe Judge, when I look back at 2020, it does say, are we jumping the gun a little bit early with firing him? So for me, I think this is a big game. And even on Tuesday, I was saying that these games were kind of meaningless. I think for Joe Judge's job and the future of what he can do with the team, this is one of those games that if you could win this game, it'll say a lot for just him. I don't think it'll say a lot for the New York Giants. New York Giants got to figure out a way to rebuild this offensive line, rebuild this defensive line, bring in the right cornerbacks that are going to, be able to really lock down or be able to make plays or be able to make takeaways that'll keep us in games, and find a way to get a quarterback who's going to get these wide receivers clicking. Now, we're going to have Mike Glennon here. They said that Jake Fromm might be ready to play. I heard one of the quarterback coaches saying that Jake Fromm is looking like he's more ready to play. I don't think we'll see him in this game unless it's a complete blowout. I'm going to pick this one a little close. I mean, Dak Prescott not playing his best of football. Let me look at where the Giants' rush defense is ranked real quick before I make an answer on this. The Giants' rush defense is 25th in the NFL.
How many yards is that per game?
I don't know how many yards it is per game. I don't. The pass defense is 19th. The overall defense is 26th, and we're going up against the number 2 offense in the NFL with the number 6 rush offense and the number 4 pass offense. And when it comes to scoring, the Dallas Cowboys are number 2 in the NFL. I got to go Cowboys.
You guys are 27th in scoring.
Yeah, I got to go Cowboys. I got to. I think it'll be a little bit close. We got a backup quarterback here, Mike Glennon, who I'm not expecting a lot of. You got to expect at least one turnover from Mike Glennon. Man, the dude was so close to having a 3-touchdown performance with no interceptions, and he had that throw across the middle to Sterling Shepard where he couldn't set his feet, and that's the problem with Mike Glennon. When he doesn't get those feet set, he's a totally different quarterback. I got to go Cowboys. I'm going to go Cowboys 31, Giants 19.
Giants are going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to protect Mike Glennon, because if Dallas's defense gets out, it's going to be a long day. Obviously, I'm cheering for the Giants. I do think that this game will be a little bit competitive, especially in the beginning. If you look back, especially in the recent games, Giants games, the first half of the games have all been like one possession games. Even in the last couple of weeks, like it feels like these games have been a lot closer than what they end up being. And I wonder if that's going to make Patrick Graham change up his defensive philosophy, because I feel like the way that defense has been, set up, to avoid the big plays and just giving everything, up in front of them, that by the end of the game, they're worn out because the other team is running so many plays because they're doing this bend, don't break defense. I think it'll be competitive, but it's difficult for me to pick the Giants because of just having that healthy Dallas front right now is just, it's super scary, super scary. I'm going to go 27-18 Cowboys.
27-18 Cowboys. So we're pretty much eye to eye on that one. The scores look pretty close. This is a good one from Monique. Oh, sorry about that. Let me get this one first from Monique. She said Dak has also owned Washington football team. So, you look at Dak Prescott's career against Washington and against New York, 16-3. That's just nuts right there. That's nuts.
They've been so much better than basically than all the other teams have during this stretch. It's been pretty dominant. There's nothing else you can really say about it. They
Facts.
just haven't been able to capitalize, and that defense, I think, now is giving them their best chance. It's interesting because in the beginning of the season, we were all like, the Cowboys offense. I mean, yeah, Trayvon Diggs came out and was having a good year, but I mean, like, I've had my eye on Diggs coming out of college. Like, I knew he was going to be good. Having this many interceptions, I didn't really know that, but we looked at their offense. Like, this offense is insane. Zeke, Pollard, Lamb, Cooper, Schultz, like Gallup, Wilson, like, and now it's like their defense is getting all the hype and all the talk. So it's kind of crazy. But big shout out to No Mets, No Nets, No Jets for the $1.99 super chat. Says, I really think the Giants should keep Evan Ingram.
What's your thoughts on that?
I'll tell you, my whole philosophy on that changed a little bit. Not necessarily changed, but when I read that stat today, I was kind of blown away. I was like, that consistency is very interesting, but I just don't know. It depends on what the price tag is going to be.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like that really just determines so much. And it's like, you don't really have anybody in the pipeline. I mean, Kyle Rudolph is probably going to retire, let's be honest, at the end of this year. Caden Smith has been you know what I'm saying? Like, he's shown flashes, but he's not really for lack of a better word, he's not really a modern NFL style tight end. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not
to an
like
extent, because
to an extent.
Yeah, like some guys can see success with that blocking style. He reminds me of Kevin Boss, who filled in for Jeremy Shockey when we got rid of him. But the difference is that Kevin Boss had the playmaking ability to step up, to go from number 2 to number 1, and that's what I question about Caden Smith right now. But I'm in total agreement. Who was it that just posted that
No Mets,
right
no
there?
Nets, no Jets.
No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. I agree with you on that. I do think that Evan Ingram could come back. I mean, I think he's shown that, like, he's the drops have kind of been brought to a minimum, that's been his main issue. And he's shown that he can be reliable, but they're not. It's weird because they're not targeting him a lot like they were in 2020, where he was the main focal point of the offense. And now with these weapons, they're trying to find other ways to get the ball into other players' hands, which it's not really working either, because Kenny Golladay only has 20 catches on the year. Kadarius Toney's been banged up, and a lot of that has to do with the injuries as well, like players not being able to stay in the lineup, so they're not able to get the amount of targets throughout a full 17-game season now to be able to really assess them. My question is, how much of that got to do with the quarterback, man? You see Mike Glennon come in and throw a back shoulder fade, no problem. You see Mike Glennon come in and get Kyle Rudolph one of the longest receptions of the longest reception of his career.
It also depends on who you bring in to run the offense.
Yeah.
I mean, like, because, depending on who your OC is, that's really going to make a difference on how they use and utilize the tight end position. Because everybody's offense is a little bit different. Some teams are they focus more on the blocking tight end than they do a route
and that's what we
end.
can't overlook with Evan Ingram. He's been a bad blocker. He's definitely been a bad blocker, but he's a hybrid tight end who's better at pass catching and stretching the field and seam routes. When Evan Ingram has to put his hands up and face the quarterback is when he gets himself into real big problems, those comeback routes. So hopefully we see less of that. He can catch the out route real well. And I think it was it was actually Old Man Rob who said, don't forget about Gano when talking about the players I want to keep for next year. Yeah. 1,000%, man. So me and the Beard are pretty in agreement here. We're sitting at 8:20. So we'll quickly go over this Sunday night matchup between the Chargers and the Chiefs, which should be or Thursday night. I said Sunday night. Yeah, tonight's matchup between the Chiefs and the Chargers. That should be a really good one. There's a track I'm looking for. Oh yeah, here it goes. All right, so Chiefs at Chargers. Let me scroll down on these notes because I gotta get this intro proper one time on them. You know what it is. This one's a little bit shorter too.
Shout out to the graphics department on the Thursday Night Football.
Big shout out to the graphics department. The Chiefs, 9-4, lead the Chargers 8-5 by 1 game in the AFC West. But if the Chargers win, they would have the tiebreaker based on a regular season sweep with 3 weeks to go. As a Giants fan, last week I got to see firsthand how great of a quarterback Justin Herbert is as he dog-walked the New York Giants defense for 275 yards, passing 3 touchdowns and no interceptions on the day in their 37-21 victory. Tonight, the Chargers welcome Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs with the division on the line. The Chiefs have won 6 straight games. It's tied for the 7th longest streak in franchise history. Kansas City has held 3 straight opponents to 9 points apiece, so that defense, like you talked about 3 weeks ago, is definitely stepping up. That's the 2nd longest streak of 10 or fewer in franchise history. Some things on the line here. Andy Reid can tie Marty Schottenheimer for 2nd among Chiefs coaches in regular season wins tonight with 101. And Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill, he's already broken his single season record with 89 catches. He also has 1,030 yards receiving, eclipsing the 1,000-yard mark for the 4th straight season, man. That's 4 straight seasons for Tyreek Hill where he's gotten over 1,000 yards. The Chargers, on the other hand here, outside linebacker Joey Bosa leads the NFL with 5 strip sacks, man. So the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, they're definitely going to have to keep their eyes on that. Justin Herbert is one of 3 quarterbacks to throw for 8,000 yards in his first 2 seasons. He joins Andrew Luck. Can you guess the other one? Think rookie quarterbacks, first 2 years, a lot of yards passing. And he's a black quarterback.
Lamar Jackson.
Jameis Winston. Yeah, so Justin Herbert needs 39 yards to pass Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck was at 8,196 yards after 2 seasons. Herbert had the 3 touchdown passes against New York. It's his 8th career game throwing at least 3 touchdowns without an interception, man. That boy Justin Herbert is the real deal. If you didn't see that throw at the end of the half against the Giants game, I definitely recommend you go see that. It's probably the throw of the year. Right in the basket. Great throw under pressure, rolling to his right, threw it back left. Austin Eckler is also chasing some history here. He's got 23 career touchdown receptions. That's tied for 9th most by a running back in the Super Bowl era. Only 7 rushers have caught 25 touchdowns out of the running back position. The Chargers have the best 4th down defense in the league right now. They're allowing opponents to convert on 5 of 16 chances, 31.3%. And fantasy-wise, I saw a tip about this. Travis Kelce has not been much of a factor for the past 2 weeks. He had identical performances against the Denver Broncos and the Las Vegas Raiders. 3 catches for 27 yards. I'd look for him to maybe bounce back and have a better game against the Chargers defense, who was better against the pass for sure, but terrible against the run. We'll see what the Chiefs can do tonight. I'm going to go ahead and give you a score here because we're already at kickoff. Man, this is a hard one, man. AFC West on the line. I got to go with my boy Patrick Mahomes. As much as I want to pick the Chargers, I think that if the Chargers can come out with a victory in this game, this would be a staple victory to say that they are ready to enter the playoffs and become a team that is reckoned with for sure. But I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs in this one in a really close matchup. I'm going to go 28-27, Kansas City Chiefs.
So the Chiefs' defense has been a huge reason for their recent success. Probably, I'm going to say, the reason for their recent success. But they are going to be missing their 3 of their 4 biggest defensive players. Well, not to say biggest, but most important, in my opinion, outside of Ingram and Honey Badger, but they are going to be without Chris Jones today. They're also going to be out without L'Jarius Sneed, and they're also going to be without Gay as well. So they're going to be down 3 of their big players. To me, Chris Jones is just he's the guy that really holds them together defensively, and I think that's going to hurt them. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Austin Eckler are both going to have huge games today, though. And another guy to keep your eye on is the rookie wide receiver for the Chargers, Josh Palmer.
Big game last week.
Keenan Allen's going to be back. Mike Williams is there. That's why I'm kind of curious to see is does his usage rate, go up a little bit just because of the way that he's been performing over the last few weeks? But I like the Chargers in this game because I think the Chiefs are hurting defensively tonight, and I think the Chargers are going to win this by a final score of 24-20.
24-20. We got all these games close, man. You talked about Josh Palmer, man. 5 catches for 66 yards last week and a touchdown. That's what impressed me about Justin Herbert is he did it without his number 1 wide receiver in the lineup. Is Keenan Allen back in the lineup tonight?
Yep, Keenan Allen's playing tonight.
That's awesome. That might have changed my pick right there, but we're gonna go with that. 1 point win by the Kansas City Chiefs. I also see a couple people talking about first round picks for the offensive line, and I know with the Giants, a lot of people been talking about this in the community. And Jay Soul, I saw your comment about no way Cowboys let go of Dexter Lawrence. We'll see, man. Who was the other kid that they let go of early in the season here? Smith.
Jalen Smith.
Jalen Smith, who I didn't think y'all would
Notre
get rid
Dame
of either. But he definitely was having some struggle play. But we'll see what happens with Lawrence. And Steve White says, I'm seeing what you're saying. Yes, always draft line first in my book. Left tackle is the position. Left tackle is a very, very important position. Now, I talked about this on Tuesday. There's an article out there from NY Giants Rush. If you check my Twitter, I posted it recently.
Really
Only offensive line that has 2 first-rounders on it or more in the entire NFL in the starting 5 is the Dallas Cowboys. Most of the teams in the top 15 ranked offensive lines have only 1 first-round draft pick that is on the starting lineup on their offensive line. The Chargers are a model, I feel like, as of recent, of how to build the offensive line. I want to pull up the tweet, but I know we're running out of time here. But they got 5 new guys on that offensive line. They drafted Rashawn Slater, who now is ranked the 2nd best left tackle in the NFL. He's only allowing pressures on 90% of the passing plays. The dude is a straight baller and a mauler. And they brought in a couple of unproven guys. A 3rd-round pick that they had got that was drafted from Denver. They got a guy from Carolina out there, and they did not spend big money on that offensive line. They got a guy on their offensive line who's starting, who's making under $800,000 a year. So you can rebuild it. Yeah, you can rebuild this line. As far as the New York Giants go. And I think, you can look to the draft. I think that is one way to build it, but also look at a way, where you don't necessarily go right through the draft, and maybe you can trade a first-round pick for another first-round pick. I think that that's something that a lot of Giants fans aren't talking about. We have 2 top 10 picks right now. One of them is going to be a top 5 pick, possibly. You can take that top 5 pick and trade it to another team for their late first-round pick and possibly their second-round pick. You never know. A lot of Giants fans are not talking about that. And lastly, I promised somebody I was going to talk about this briefly, is the Russell Wilson situation. Anybody who's telling you that the Giants don't have enough cap space to be able to bring in a quarterback like Russell Wilson, don't listen to that. That's smoke right now. Ian Rappaport was on with Sal on WFAN in the morning, and when asked about can the Giants make enough cap space for to bring in Russell Wilson with the New York Giants, he smirked and laughed and said, of course they can do that. There are plenty of ways to backload contracts. We know the Giants are entering 2022 with a bit of cap hell too, and he even said that they could easily make it happen. So let's not try to just bank on points and things that aren't facts about the Giants being able to bring in somebody like a Russell Wilson as far as the cap space goes, man. I appreciate all of y'all in the chat today, man. Jay, so I appreciate you pulling up too, bro. We talked about football a lot on Twitter a few times, especially with the Dallas Cowboys. It was great to see you in the building, Stephen White as well, and a bunch of the new faces today, man. We definitely appreciate all of y'all in the building. Y'all know what it is, man, over here at Awthentik and The Beard. There are no fans in this chat or that support this channel. It's all fam here with Awthentik and The Beard. Want to keep this short, Beard? You got any other last words before we get up out of here?
No, just don't forget to join us Sunday morning at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the parlay. And don't forget fantasy football. If you have players, there are 2 games on Saturday. So make sure you guys are on top of that. And if you guys have any questions about any of those players in those 2 games, reach out to us on Twitter, and we'll be more than happy to help you guys out leading up to the parlay on Sunday.
Y'all know what it is, man. Definitely appreciate all y'all support. Pull up on Sunday for the parlay. That's going to be a fun time. We're going to be chopping it up. It's playoff time for fantasy football, so y'all know what it is. Everybody, enjoy your football tonight. This is probably going to be, hopefully, one of the best Thursday night games that we see. We've seen some great Thursday night football already, but this matchup screams playoffs right here. This is a playoff preview between the Chiefs and the Chargers. Y'all enjoy it. You know what it is. Keep raising that bar, man. Keep living those dreams, man. Every day is another day for you to just change things and make things better for yourself. Don't ever give up on yourself, man. If anybody going to believe in you, make sure it's you believing in you, man. We'll catch y'all Sunday morning at 11 o'clock for the parlay, man. Everybody be good. We'll see y'all. Peace.
Peace.